When a woman first walks away, she doesn't miss you in the way most men imagine. In those early days, her mind convinces her she made the right choice, and that belief brings her a sense of relief. She feels lighter, unburdened by the weight of the relationship, as though she has just stepped out into fresh air after being confined in a crowded room. This relief can quickly turn into excitement, even a kind of thrill, because she tells herself she now has freedom, new possibilities, and endless opportunities waiting just outside the door she closed. In her heart, she builds a narrative that life will be brighter, more adventurous, and far more fulfilling without you in it. That conviction shields her from the ache of separation, at least for a time. She distracts herself with noise. Nights out with friends fill her calendar, as she laughs louder than she needs to, drinks more than usual, and posts moments online to prove to herself she is thriving. She scrolls endlessly through her phone, chatting with people who don't matter, welcoming shallow conversations that hold no depth but give her temporary validation. Sometimes, she might even entertain the attention of another man, not because she feels anything meaningful, but because the novelty masks the absence she refuses to acknowledge. What most men fail to understand is that this stage is an illusion. It's not that she doesn't care, it's that she is running from silence. The chaos, the excitement, the distractions, these are her ways of numbing the truth that hasn't yet caught up to her. In those first weeks, she convinces herself she doesn't miss you at all. But what feels like freedom is only the beginning of an unraveling she doesn't see coming. In time, the noise she surrounds herself with begins to fade. The laughter with friends becomes repetitive, the late nights no longer carry the same spark, and the conversations that once distracted her begin to feel hollow. It's in this quieting that she first notices your absence. At the beginning, it's surface level. She realizes you're no longer the one sending good morning messages, no longer checking in to ask about her day, no longer available to listen when she unloads her frustrations. At first, this awareness feels like nothing more than a break in routine, a missing habit rather than a missing person. Her mind frames it as an adjustment, something she'll quickly outgrow, like breaking free from an old ritual that served its purpose. But slowly, the absence deepens. What once felt like routine begins to sting with a sharper edge. She doesn't just notice that your texts are gone, she begins to feel the emptiness behind them. The comfort that came with knowing someone cared enough to reach out, the security of knowing there was always someone on her side, starts to fade. What she mistook for small, forgettable gestures suddenly reveal themselves as anchors of stability she had taken for granted. Without them, she feels unmoored, as though she's walking through her days with something missing she can't quite replace. This is the stage where her mind begins to work against her. She doesn't want to admit she misses you, so she convinces herself she's simply adjusting. Yet the silence you've left behind grows louder with every passing day. What she once called freedom now begins to echo with reminders of you. And in that echo, the seeds of real longing quietly take root. When she first tries to fill the growing void, she often turns to replacement. It might be another man, someone who seems new and exciting, someone who flatters her or offers the rush of attention she once thought she craved. In the beginning, it feels like she has proven herself right, she can move on, she can find better, she can replace what she walked away from. But this illusion doesn't last long. With time, the cracks in this new connection begin to show. The thrill she once felt starts to fade, and she notices the differences, subtle at first, then glaring. This man doesn't understand her mannerisms the way you did. He doesn't laugh at her quirks with the same genuine warmth. He doesn't carry the calm, grounding energy that once radiated from you and kept her steady when she didn't even realize she needed it. What began as excitement now feels shallow, and she starts to compare without meaning to. Comparison becomes her enemy because the more she measures the new against the old, the more she realizes how much she overlooked. It isn't about grand gestures, it's about the quiet familiarity, the effortless bond, the way you seem to fit without forcing. Each little difference serves as a reminder of what she had and walked away from. And with every reminder, the nostalgia begins to creep in, slow but relentless. She doesn't admit it out loud, even to herself at times, but the truth is undeniable, she can't replace you. The harder she tries, the more obvious it becomes. What she thought was easily substitutable turns out to be unique. And that realization transforms her confidence into doubt, marking the true beginning of missing you. The missing begins to grow stronger when the ordinary moments come back to haunt her. It isn't the big events or dramatic memories that surface first, it's the small rituals that once seemed insignificant but now feel irreplaceable. She remembers the way you made her feel safe walking beside you on a quiet street at night, the way your presence alone was enough to calm her after a long, stressful day. She recalls the inside jokes that no one else would ever understand, the lazy afternoons spent doing nothing yet somehow feeling like everything, and the little reassurances you gave without her ever having to ask. These weren't just gestures, they were anchors of intimacy, the kind of details that stitched your bond together in ways she never noticed until they were gone. Now, when she tries to move forward, she finds that no one else can replicate those micro moments. A new man might buy her dinner or shower her with compliments, her friends might fill her weekends with laughter, but none of it touches the depth of those quiet connections she had with you. Those simple, unspoken bonds can't be replaced because they weren't created through effort, they flowed naturally from who you were. And the more she realizes this, the heavier the absence feels. The ache of missing you deepens when she recognizes that what she let go of wasn't just companionship, but a sense of belonging she didn't know she needed until it was no longer there. She may try to dismiss these thoughts, to tell herself she's strong and independent, but in the stillness, those memories rise uninvited. And with them comes a haunting truth: no one else makes her feel at home the way you once did. As time passes, the silence you left behind transforms into a mirror she cannot escape. At first, she tried to bury herself in distractions and comparisons, but now she begins to look inward, questioning her own choices. Doubt creeps in quietly, and with it comes regret. She replays the last conversations you had, dissecting the words, the tone, the moments where pride or stubbornness took the place of vulnerability. She wonders if she pushed too hard, if she failed to appreciate the things you gave so freely, if she mistook consistency for predictability instead of recognizing it as stability. These thoughts weigh on her at night, when the world is still and she has no noise to hide behind. It is during these moments that she begins to rewrite her memories, not to forget but to understand. She recalls your patience when she was short-tempered, the way you listened when no one else had the time, and the steadiness you offered even when she brought chaos. What she once brushed aside as ordinary suddenly feels extraordinary in hindsight. The very qualities she overlooked now appear to her as rare, even precious. The deeper she thinks, the more she realizes that her decision to walk away wasn't just about the relationship, it was about her own restlessness, her inability to see what was in front of her. And this recognition stings, because it forces her to face not only the absence of you but also the flaws within herself. Regret is no longer abstract, it is sharp and personal. She begins to feel the weight of what she lost, not as a passing thought but as a truth she cannot shake. And in that truth, the missing grows heavier, almost unbearable. The weight of regret soon begins to manifest in ways she can no longer control. She starts to feel your absence not only in her mind but in her body and routine. Little triggers follow her everywhere. A song plays in the background at a cafe, and suddenly she's back in your car with the windows down, laughing at something trivial. A scent in the air, a cologne on a stranger, and her chest tightens because it reminds her of being close to you. Even the way certain phrases are spoken by others echoes your voice, pulling her back to memories she thought she had buried. These aren't grand, orchestrated flashbacks, they're ambushes of the heart, reminders that appear without permission and leave her unsettled. At this stage, she starts to feel restless, even anxious, because the past begins to overlap with her present. It becomes difficult for her to fully enjoy the things she once ran toward: to parties, nights out, fleeting attention, because they now feel empty in comparison. Her laughter doesn't reach the same depth, her joy feels shallow, forced. She realizes that much of what she's been doing has been an attempt to outrun the hollowness, but the hollowness remains, no matter how fast she goes. This is when she starts thinking of you not only as someone she lost but as someone she may never find again. That thought terrifies her, because it forces her to admit that what you gave her wasn't ordinary, it was unique. In quiet moments, when she lies awake staring at the ceiling, she begins to whisper questions to herself she cannot answer. What if he really was the one? What if I don't get that kind of love again? And those questions begin to consume her. The questions that haunt her soon turn into an ache she can't escape. It is no longer just about the moments she misses or the regret she carries, it becomes about the emptiness that follows her wherever she goes. She notices it in the mornings when she wakes up and instinctively reaches for her phone, half expecting a message that will never come. She notices it when she's surrounded by people, laughing and talking, yet feels a hollowness inside because none of it touches her the way your presence once did. Even in her busiest hours, there is a quiet shadow reminding her of the void you left behind. This is the stage where longing begins to consume her. She doesn't just think of you occasionally, she begins to think of you constantly, in flashes that interrupt her days. Every little reminder feels sharper now, almost painful. The silence that once felt like freedom now feels like punishment. She begins to wrestle with the possibility that she let go of something irreplaceable, and this realization plants a deeper hunger in her heart. She may try to suppress it, telling herself she's strong enough to move on, but the truth is undeniable. She misses the way your energy steadied her, the way you could read her moods without words, the way she felt seen in ways others don't seem capable of. That depth of connection becomes a ghost she can't escape, following her through every interaction and highlighting the absence of it in others. Her pride keeps her from admitting it out loud, yet the longing only grows. And as it grows, so does the quiet fear that she may have already lost the one person who made her feel whole in ways she never fully understood until now. Eventually, the longing sharpens into a deep sense of vulnerability she can no longer disguise. What once felt like strength, her ability to walk away, to appear independent and unshaken, now feels like fragility. She begins to recognize that the walls she built around herself are not protecting her but isolating her. Pride kept her silent, convinced her she could replace or forget you, yet that same pride now weighs on her like chains. In quiet moments, she replays the times she could have reached out but didn't, the chances she had to soften but chose instead to harden. Each memory turns into a reminder of how her silence has only deepened the distance between you. Her emotions, once controlled and carefully hidden, start to spill into her daily life. She becomes shorter in patience, quicker to frustration, because she's wrestling with feelings she can't resolve. The things that once distracted her no longer hold her attention, nights out feel empty, conversations with others lack substance, and even the attention she once sought from men now feels irritating, almost meaningless. It's not that she doesn't want connection, it's that she realizes she wants it only with you. At this point, she begins to imagine what it would feel like to hear your voice again, to see your name light up on her phone, to feel even the smallest piece of what she once had with you. But that imagination is paired with fear that you've moved on, fear that reaching out would only expose how much she still needs you. This vulnerability humbles her. It forces her to admit, even if only to herself, that losing you wasn't freedom at all, it was the beginning of a loneliness she can no longer hide from. By the time she reaches this stage, the weight of missing you becomes undeniable. It is no longer hidden beneath distractions or buried under pride, it is raw, constant, and heavy. She begins to understand that what she thought was temporary longing is actually something much deeper. This is when she fully realizes the magnitude of what she lost. It dawns on her that the connection she once shared with you wasn't ordinary, wasn't casual, wasn't something that could be easily found again. It was rare, and in her heart, she knows it may have been once in a lifetime. That awareness changes everything. Her thoughts shift from simple nostalgia to desperate wishing. She replays moments with a sharper focus now, thinking of how she might have chosen differently, how she could have held on instead of letting go. Regret transforms into a longing so intense that it almost feels like grief. She begins to feel not only the absence of you but the absence of the future she once could have had with you, the plans, the dreams, the life that slipped away when she walked out. This stage is the hardest for her because it carries both clarity and helplessness. She knows what you meant to her, she knows no one else has been able to replace you, and she knows the silence between you has only deepened her desire to have you back. Yet she also knows that reaching out might be too late, that the damage may already be done. This paradox eats at her, making her restless and uncertain. In her heart, though, one truth has finally settled: she misses you not just as a person from her past, but as the man who still holds the place no one else has managed to touch.